What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and I wanted to show you guys a little bit of the character creation. I know a lot of people got to try that as part of the benchmark, but as a PlayStation player, I knew that I needed to spend some time when I was at the media tour playing with this, because I wouldn't be able to see Viera and Hrothgar until there was like a live version of Shadowbringers. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in and just kind of go through. I did create a Viera and a Hrothgar, and I played part of my media tour footage as one and part as the other, because they gave us, basically an unlimited amount of those potions, so we could go back and create as many characters as we wanted. And so let's dive in. All right, so I'm here on my Viera, and you notice that it basically looks like every other character creation screen. You do have a couple of clans, so you can pick dark skin versus light, and then you have control over height. There's been plenty of charts out there that show this relative to other characters. Of course, you have control of bust size like every other female character. And then the skin colors, because of the clans being dark skinned and light skinned, I actually found they were fairly limited on the light skinned version. I did end up creating a dark skinned version because I appreciated there was more variety in the skin colors. And so that's something that I hope they would add more of. And then when it came to hairstyles, I personally thought that they did a pretty decent job of having enough hairstyles with just the fact that they have to account for the ears. So you'll see that I'm kind of figuring out here. I was wondering kind of what's going on with the Viera. This was me figuring out the clan thing. So there we go. Gotcha. So it's like watching a past version of myself learn here. So you notice the Rava and the Vina, there's some lore there on the left if that's what's important to you. The starting attributes are not enough to worry about for any new players. And so I would just pick the one that means the most to you. But you'll see that it's the exact same starting things. And then I felt that there was more variety within the skin colors here for having basically the exact same number of selections. So there were some that kind of had a blue tint to them, some that kind of had a red tint to them. And so I just kind of thought that was cooler in my opinion. But of course, being able to choose between both clans gives you a lot to choose from. So you see all this hairstyles here. Once again, I thought it was a great amount of variety for the fact that, they have to account for the ears. And so you're going to have a little bit of control over the ears later. I wish there was more shape there, but we'll get to that point. And so the great thing about this is once you choose hair color, you can see it affects even the ears. But I actually kind of go back later because the hair color, you can actually see that there's like some highlights and things like that. So it's quite a bit of variety. Knowing that now the headgear actually kind of works on these, it's not as important, but I actually like the way a lot of my classes look, my jobs look without a headgear on. So I like to know that I have a good looking character that I don't feel like I have to put a helmet on, because not every helmet, not every eyeglass in this game looks good, and not every glamour that you may come up with has a good matching kind of helmet to go with it. And so you have some control over the faces, some control over the jaws. It's not a huge number, so you can see here type 1, 2, 3, so it's not an enormous amount. I wish that they were going to limit it to this much, that there was maybe a slider instead, and you just gave me like pointed to not pointed. Like the eye shape, the 5 eye shapes was actually a pretty big difference. And then like large and small iris, once again, I wish that was a slider. So like these are brand new classes into the game. So like I wish that they had even more flexibility than maybe any of the other classes do. Not that, that's necessarily the biggest part of the game, but like you're adding the last 2 races ever to the game possibly. And so I would really hope that they would really kind of dive in and make these as customizable as possible. Same with the eyebrows. It'd be nice if you had at least like the customization of the Wii, where you could kind of control rotation and size, but the 5 types did kind of sum up roughly what I wanted. The mouths, it kind of just is what it is. But lip color, there's a huge variety here, and this is something that I think it would be really cool if you could change this pretty seamlessly, like in-game on the fly for each glamour of yours, so you could kind of have it matching like you would do your makeup different based on the outfit that you were wearing. It'd be cool if you could kind of have different lipsticks bound to that instead of that being part of kind of the character appearance. And so here's the 4 ear types. I wish that these had more than just length or with these 4. Hopefully they'll add more down the line. Facial features, it's about par for the course, because you have to remember this isn't just facial features, but we also have tattoos. And so you've got a lot of markings to choose from here. So it just, there's 2 categories here, and I thought this was plenty. It felt like the Hrothgar actually had more flexibility in what this looked like, but I think that, you know, without getting into the whole thing of like, we need endless things, we need butt slider and stuff, you can see between face paint, tattoos, and facial features, you have a fair bit of control over something before you even talk about headgear and all those other things. All right, now this one I've actually finished creating mine before I went back and recorded it, so you can see the final thing here. So I'm just going to be going through and showing the different sliders. There are a ton of skin colors here. Because it's more bestial, I guess they didn't feel the need to be as like realistic with them. The different hair things, when you're selecting those, remember that you're going to be able to choose both like the inner hair color and the outer hair color. So I had to go back a couple of times and choose a different pattern, kind of picturing that. The four tails, the length, maybe an additional slider in there would be cool, but I was pretty happy with the tails as a Mikote player. The hairstyles, like, they really had a lot of variety, and they really accented the different kind of face types, and then the different jaws. Within the different jaws, you have to kind of choose this like pokey bone goatee thing that they have. There's different eye colors, there's different noses. I know these are all basic things, but because it's so bestial, each of these feels a lot bigger than like, oh, there's different noses, like, because the noses don't have to exist within the realm of what's realistic. So I thought this was really cool. It gave them a chance to stretch their legs and be much more bestial than the Viera. Having the different aspects colored differently, having really cool face paints that drastically like lean into this. A lot of times a human, in my opinion, with face paint just looks like a human with face paint, but like there's something just so tribal about bestial races that I don't know. I was really excited creating this. I don't think I would have been a Mikote if Hrothgar had been available at the time. So I know I flew through that. I'm going to let it play again real quick because, like I said, I'd created it once without recording, so I kind of just flew back through and I just was blown away at how much flexibility this was. I know by the time you put gear and stuff on them that it won't be as bestial as they are right now, because they'll start to look a lot more like some of the other, you know, other classes, the other races in the game. But I really found it exciting that this was something that felt starkly different than anything we've had in game. And to my friends that maybe don't want to play the game because they don't have a race that they identify with, this is by far the most different than any other race that they've had in game. And I think that could hopefully draw in a set of players that maybe wasn't drawn to any of the appearances in game. Because if you're not drawn to one, you can only get so different in game, right? Mikote still feels a lot like a human with those features added on. Even Viera, they're stunning, but it's mostly just the ears. This is just the posturing, the bone structure, the way just the muscles form and they kind of like hunch. And I know I'm gushing over this, but creating a Hrothgar was something that I just found so fun. It's a good thing I didn't record the first one because I spent forever digging through this the first time. I hope you guys at least go through the character creation and try out creating a Hrothgar. So that's really it. Creating both characters was a ton of fun. Playing as them was a ton of fun. I'm not somebody that really does a lot of race changing. Once I played a character as a certain race, I kind of just identify my character as that race and that gender and even those hairstyles. And so like my druid in WoW has been the same druid since 2004. I might have changed a hairstyle over the years when they first added the ability to kind of go into barbershops and stuff. But like I've left it largely the same. That just isn't something that I personally do a lot of, but I know to people out there that change their races regularly, it would be really exciting to have these as options. And if I ever get to the point where I'm creating additional characters, which I have the ability to on my account, because I have the account that allows you to create up to 8, and so I would definitely consider having a Hrothgar and a Viera. I think I'd lean to Hrothgar out of the two, just because it feels so different. It feels like such a cool way to experience the game and be just totally bestial. I wish the voices to it were even more bestial than they are, but there are plenty of choices in there. So I think I could find one that I'd be really happy with. And voice only makes so much difference in this game. So I thought it was really cool. I thought I would love to see the character creation screen get more sliders across all the races. I would love to see there be more flexibility for new players to come in and create something that really stands out. But overall, it's a ton of flexibility for such a big MMO. When you go into WoW and you create like a female orc or a male orc, you just, that's it. Like, that's your body type. There isn't, all these different sliders in like height and bust size and all this. You basically, it's like, okay, pick your skin, pick your face, pick your race and gender, and there's very little outside of that when you compare it to this system. So this is about as complex as you can get without jumping into something where you're talking about like a Skyrim creation, where I can basically, if I spend enough time in there, put my own face in game. So I thought this was really, really neat, and I hope you guys look forward to getting hands-on with it. June 28th for people that pre-order, and July 2nd for people that don't. For those of you PC players out there, the benchmark, of course, does allow you to create things like this and see it within that limited trailer, but that's not quite the same as getting it in game. So if you're looking at starting a new character or something and you're on the fence, maybe this is worth the wait and start your new character this summer. My name is Chris with Work to Game. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.
Do you guys remember Clyde the Couch Bear from the early videos when I was shooting in my living room and the couch was right behind me? Just wanted to do a quick update on his life. He has been way promoted. He's now guest bedroom bear. Doesn't flow as well, but definitely feels like he's got his own sweet gigs now that we have 2 beds in our house.